So I've been watching the show The Orville lately on Disney Plus. It's an homage to Star Trek The Next Generation. The creator and the lead actor, producer is Seth MacFarlane, who's the creator of Family Guy, and an outspoken Star Trek The Next Generation nerd, outspoken atheist, or at least secularist. In this episode that I saw tonight, season 3, episode 4, he's having a confrontation between him and the populist leader, a very kind of Trump-esque figure of this fanatical religious enemy species. And through a whole series of events, he and this leader, when she was undercover as a human playing his girlfriend, they ended up having a child together, which she hid away. And he discovered the child and he confronts her on it because she's trying to keep there from being peace between their two peoples and kind of stoke the flames of nationalist, populist, religious bigotry. And in this scene, he asks her basically like, why did you even keep this child if you didn't truly think that, there's a possibility of peace between us, or if you thought she was an abomination or whatever. And in this scene that's intended to show how evil and twisted this society is, she takes him to this place and says, this is what happens to people who willingly terminate their children in the womb. And very precise language that they're using to avoid saying basically this is what when people choose to kill their offspring. And watch this scene and tell me if you see what's wrong with it.
Their DNA is extracted and a genetic profile is used to create a simulation of the child that could have been, so they may see the life they have destroyed.
Are you my mother? I would have loved so much to be with you. I wish you had not sent me away.
Jesus Christ, Talia. Is this the kind of world you want your daughter to grow up in? Our daughter.
Take Captain Mercer back to his cell.
The scene falls flat completely because Seth MacFarlane is trying to show the warped, twisted evil of this society, and he does so by having the child that this couple willingly had killed, not medical emergency or anything like that, but electively had killed, basically appear to them and show them a face, I would say a human face, but they are krill in this instance, but puts a face on the child that they willingly killed. And that is seen as sort of the final stamp of how awful this society is. This is a show that is kind of trying to show or make statements about various ideological causes and human rights issues. And the thing that's so damning to that worldview is actually humanizing the life that was killed. It's such an upside down, weird ethic. And it's painted as a kind of a mark of this right-wing society, which is crazy because there are many, many non-right-wing, secularist, LGBT, various religions, atheist, agnostic, who are against exactly what that couple in that clip does, electively taking the life of their child in the womb. It's lazy stereotyping of pro-life position and trying to equate it with this mindless right-wing populism, which is just completely absurd. This episode was a perfect example of how the ideologically pro-choice movement just completely misses it when it comes to understanding what drives the ethics of people who are pro-life. That it's not a right-wing thing. It's not a religious fundamentalist thing. It's not anything like that. But it is seeking to do exactly what is depicted in that scene, which is humanizing victims. And it's similar to how people used to get mad during the days of abolition, when abolitionists would show people what a slave trade ship is like, when abolitionists would confront people with the atrocities of the slave trade, with chattel slavery, what Uncle Tom's Cabin and other works did to confront people moving past the social rhetoric and the ideology of the day and putting a face on the victims. And that's exactly what I thought this scene did for the victims who are killed in their mother's womb electively, not medically, not necessary for saving the life of anybody or anything like this, but through just a desire to not have the child that you've already brought into being in the womb. And so having that child killed. So it's just amazing that that was such a horrifying thing to Seth MacFarlane and his character, Captain Mercer, to actually live in a world where people are confronted with the victims of their choices in a way that shows the full emotional weight of it. So very odd scene. Again, this is not slamming the Orville. I actually love the show. I think it's the best Star Trek show since Next Generation, even though it's not a Star Trek show. And I thoroughly enjoy it. I hope there's another season of it. But it's an example of when you don't have a firm ethical basis that you're trying to establish human rights upon, then you end up with a really weird and I think self-defeating message like the one in this episode. So anyway, I'd be interested to hear what you guys think if you saw that episode. Let me know in the comments below.